Greetings. I'm Tasha, and this is Let's Talk. I want to apologize for my previous videos where I was being stiff. This is my first time in front of camera talking about myself to the world. And wherever you are, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, greetings again. And I just want to apologize. At 11 years old, wow. I used to pick a fight with everybody because I was angry. I was hurting and I didn't know how to get rid of that hurt, you know. But 11 years also I was molested again, not by my brother but by my cousin. And I think that sent me into, I guess you could call it, to the depression. You know, I withdrew, but I still, you know, would anybody tell me anything, I would want to fight them, you know, and I get into a lot of fights when I was 11 years old. 11 years old also was the last time my family went to St. John for our summer vacation, and I think for me I had enough of that, you know. The beating still continued. The wet bed was even worse. You know, I had to take my mattress outside, and if you live in an island, most houses in the island has a back door. So, and in the back door you could go in your yard. And my sister and I bedroom was we had a back door there so you could go. So when I wet my bed, and my mom was so, I guess, angry, she made me take my wet bed out in the yard so all the tenants who live in our property could see what was going on. Even though they know what was going on, but they could really see the mattress with all the stain from wetting my bed and how it started to eat away and everything like that, you know. And eventually the mattress eat away with just the spring was coming up. And my mother told me she wasn't going to buy a bed for me. And I had to, in my neighborhood in Savannah, there was a grocery store. There was two grocery stores, Perkins, and then there was Red Ball store. And I had to go down to Red Ball store like every other day and get a bunch of cardboard. And the cardboard, I had to cut them open and put them on top of the soil mattress, because the spring, like I said, was coming through there, and try to bend the spring so when I sleep it don't choke me or I don't get stuck with it. And that's what I had to do for months. But also at 11 years old, I started to steal my mother money because I had to fend for myself, you know. Because everything that my mother did, all the money she had, she always reminded my sister and I it was for my brother. The second one, the one that was the apple of her eye. So we was always giving hand with on where he was giving the best, you know. So, and since we had a little candy store in our house, and there was always money, you know, she used to make special, and special is a if you're in the island, in part of the Caribbean island, you know what a special is, but I will explain it. A special is where you mix like milk, condensed milk, almonds and vanilla extract, sugar, and you stir it up in a big pot and you throw water in it, and then you put it in some plastic cups and you freeze it, and you sell them, you know, 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. So we used to sell those as well as candy and sodas and stuff like that. So there was always money in our house. You know, there was always money flowing in our house. And then on the weekend, my mom, she made Johnny cake, patty, fried chicken, fried fish, stuff like that, you know. So there was always money. And she never gave my sister and I anything, you know what I mean? And to her, having a roof over our head and having food and a bed to sleep on was sufficient, you know. And I felt like that wasn't sufficient. So I started stealing first her money, and my sister kind of caught what I was doing, so she started stealing also. And I used to steal a lot of money from my mom, you know, because and she didn't know, she will serve the food or whatever, and we collect the money. So if she make $30 on one thing, I would take $15 because I feel like I was entitled to it, and since she wasn't taking care of us the way she was supposed to, You know, I felt like I needed my own money. And that kind of, we did it for a while and then we stopped. My sister and I, we did it for a while and we stopped. And like I say, 11 years old was my last. Um, when I was 11, my mom found out that she was a diabetic. And since my second brother and sister, they were scared of needles, I had to go with her to the clinic so I could learn to give her insulin. And when I went there, the doctor, he gave me an orange, and it was to the old hospital around the field. And he gave me an orange and he gave me a needle, and he told me he gonna put some water in, and it's supposed to go to this level, and that's what I supposed to give her. And I was like, okay, so I was there for like a half an hour to hour doing it over and over and over till the doctor felt like I get it right, and he gave my mom the insulins and stuff like that, and told me that it need to be put in the refrigerator, and I have to give her one every morning, and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, and we went home, and I'm thinking, I have to give you insulin, and you beating the shit out of me constantly. And at first I wasn't thinking like I was going to do anything, but after she started to, I don't know if because she was diabetic and certain things she couldn't eat anymore because my mom was addicted to sweets. And no matter how much we tell her she can't eat sweets, she will eat it even more. So her pressure was always high. She was always back and forth to the hospital and stuff like that because she won't listen. And I think she take the frustration out of me and to some point out of my sister, but since my sister was older, my sister started to rebel, like, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. So for me, I was scared. I'm not going to tell my mother I'm going to hit her back because I don't know what she's going to do. But the beating, like I say, she started to beat me a lot, I was called every name in the book. Every name that is degrading that you could call a girl, I was called that. My sister and I, we was called all of those names. And it used to bother me, but my sister used to tell me, don't leave it affect me, but it did, because I really love my mom and I wanted her to love me back. But I know I would never get that. But anyhow, going into the insulin, I was given the insulin for about maybe like 6 months, and I don't know what happened. I just started giving her more, because at that time it's like I really wanted her dead. I wanted her out of my life, because the beating and the treating was horrible. So I started to give her more insulin than she was supposed to get. And around like 9 months, she ended up getting sick and she was put in the hospital, and I get scared. I get really scared, like, oh my God, did I do this here and stuff like that. So I went and tell my half sister, my father, oldest daughter, what I did, and I told her, I lied to her and told her it was an accident, that I didn't do it on purpose. And she asked me if I was doing this all the time, and I was like, no, it was just an accident. And I don't know what happened. Like a month later, my mother refused to have me give her insulin, and I never gave her insulin after that. And I was like, dang, the devil can't die, because that's how I look at my mother. So I went to 7th grade in Aspinall High School. At 12, she told me before I went to school, stay out of trouble, because if I get suspended, I'm going to get kicked out of school, I'm going to have to get a job, and if I'm not working, I can't live in a house there, or if I'm not going to school. So while I was in 7th grade, I met kids from different parts of St. Thomas, Old Tutu, ghettos, housing, content, and they used to pick on me. And I went home and I told my mom, and my mom told me, leave him alone. I said I don't do anything to him. But anyhow, my mom went to school and attended the principal, Miss Campine, and my mom had a meeting with her, and my mom told her that, I told her this boy is bullying me all the time. Well, at the time he wasn't bullying, but troubling me, harassing me. And my mom told the principal that she told me that if he do that, to kick his ass. And the principal, like, no, she can't do that, because if she do, both of them will get suspended. Anyhow, his parent came in, his mother came in.
Okay, slow down.
Oh, I'm sorry. His mother had to come to school also, and right there he said that he was going to leave me alone, but when our parents was gone, it got even worse, you know. So seventh grade for me was really really tough, and because I had a lot of sores from the mosquito bite, I used to scratch them. Everybody used to call me Sorry Kelly, you know. So I used to get teased by that also, you know. And I guess from seventh grade I went to eighth grade, so I would go on to eighth grade. Go ahead. When I mentioned eighth grade, I made a mistake. I went to seventh grade. In seventh grade, I got my first gun. It was my brother gun. I stole it from him. Um, that was my older brother, and that's the one who had molested me. And he wasn't living with us, but he used to go in the different Caribbean islands like Jamaica, Dominica, Haiti. And when he come back, he used to come back like with barrels, those brown barrels full of weed. So one day, they had my mom had given him a room in my grandmother's house, and but he wasn't sleeping there because he was when he came back he met an older woman, a married woman with 6 children, and he lived in her house, but he kept his weed there in the room and everything like that. So one day I went over there, and my mom had a key for the room, and I went over there and I went through the stuff, and I found a 25 peso, a chrome one with a white handle. And when I opened the barrels, there was a lot of weed in there, so I stole two pound of weed, and I smoked some because I wanted to know like what it was. I mean, I know it was weed, but I wanted to know like what effect it gave me, and I got high and stuff like that. But I started to sell weed. That's when I first started to sell weed when I was 12 years old. I had a gun and I had weed, and I tell everybody in the neighborhood I have weed. And that time in growing up in the 60s, used to put in them brown manila envelope, and I went and I bought a whole bunch of them and stuff it, in those envelopes you could get like 10 joints of those envelopes were nickel bag and dime bags. But anyhow, I used to be in the corner by my grandmother's house, and every day I used to sell weed and had my gun on top of me, and the reason too I stole the gun because my mom was involved with another man, and he used to come to. He used to live on our property with his wife, and his wife was paralyzed, and his wife gave my mom permission to be with her husband, and he used to come to our bedroom in the night time. So we had to keep the door unlocked. And one night he came through and he was hovering over me. And I had a gun under my pillow, and I pulled a gun on him. And I told him that if he ever fucking touch me, I'm gonna kill him. And my mom had a commotion, and he told my mom some stupidness, and my mom told me like if I hurt him, she'll kick me out of the house, and I'm trying to explain to her like, what he did, and to her it was no big deal. My sister already done move out the house because she already had get pregnant, so she was living someplace else. Well, no, not she wasn't. She didn't get pregnant then, so I'll take that back. She got pregnant later on, but my sister didn't. My sister didn't say anything, and we didn't like this guy. We didn't like him. My sister didn't like him, and when my mom cooked, we couldn't eat until he ate. He had to eat first, and then we eat afterwards, And me and my sister and I, we didn't like that. So what my sister used to do was put dish liquid in his food. She used to spit in his food and mix it up, and we be in the living room and he be in the kitchen eating, and we looking at him and we laughing, and he tell my mom some stupidness, and we see him eating the food and he like, oh, this food tastes really good, and my sister would grumble on the thing like, yeah, I'm gonna kill your ass, and I didn't like him. My sister didn't like him because, I mean, even though my mom didn't like none of her kids. None of us. The four of us, my mom hated all four of us. Well, she loved my brother. That was the apple of her eye. The other three, my older brother, my older sister, myself, she hated us with a passion. She turned all four of her kids against one another, that we end up hating each other. I mean, literally hating each other. Yes, I was born from a woman with a man as my father, but I didn't have no parents. I didn't have no parents. I didn't have no brothers. I didn't have no sisters. I was alone in this world. I didn't have nobody. You know, even though my grandmother was there, my grandfather was already done dead from the time I was a baby. So I didn't have my grandmother. Eventually, she took my mom's side. They look at me like I was a bad seed. But nobody understand what I was going through, how I was hurting. And if I didn't protect myself, I would have been molested over and over and over and over and over. And there was nothing. And I was deciding like, I would never allow another man to molest me again. That would never happen. And if I have to kill a person, I'm going to do that. So that's why I end up just falling in love with guns. You know, I mean, eventually I had like a lot of guns when I got older. But what I'm saying is, I felt like I needed to protect myself because my mother was not protecting me. You know, and 12, and then, you know, I went to 8th grade, and when I went to 8th grade, I realized that all the stuff that she was telling me was not so. I fought teachers, I cussed out assistant principals, you know, I fought with everybody because I was like, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. And I really, really hated adults. I hated all type of authority. You couldn't tell me nothing. I felt like you was not smart than me. I'm smart. I'm very intelligent. So there is nothing you could tell me because what all adults do is lie to children. You know? I never had love, so I don't know what love is. You know, I had to, at that age, I didn't know what love was. You know, and eventually, because my sister is 3 years older, my sister we used to fight like cat and dog. You know, we used to really, really fight like cat and dog. And my brother, we used to fight because there was a change in my life. Something was happening to me that I didn't even understand. I started wearing my brother underwears. I started wearing his shirts, his pants, his shoes, his socks. I stopped wearing girl stuff. I just started wearing boy stuff. And I started looking at girls differently. You know, and I don't know how it happened. It happened. You know, and I didn't know what to do. You know, so I talked to my older sister, my half sister, and I told her what was going on. And guess what? What I was told, you're gonna burn in hell because it's a sin. And I was like, why is it a sin? And I mean, I never liked guys. You know, I never liked guys at all. Guys never interest me in no type of way. And you know, I even talked to my grandmother about it, and that's what she told me. You know, in the Bible it says a sin, you're gonna burn in hell. You know, and do you want to burn in hell? But I don't want to burn in hell, but I'm feeling something new, something different. And I didn't know what to do, so I just put it on the back burner, you know. I put it in the back burner, and I continue. I get suspended like close to 21 times in 8th grade. I was suspended like every 2 days. You know, I mean, I would literally fight with my teachers, you know, because I didn't care. I just didn't want you to tell me what I'm doing, whatever I'm doing that is wrong. I want to do whatever I want to do. And if I wanted to sit in the back and eat mangoes or whatever, I didn't care. And I used to go school high. Before I leave my family property, I used to go in the back of the yard and smoke some weed and then go to school high. You know, so I was like always high. You know, I mean, so, you know, my mom had to come into 8th grade when I was in 8th grade because I get suspended so many times. And I'm going to bring this video to a stop. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to put on your notification bell so when we upload another video, you could be the first to hear it. And next week, I'm going live on TikTok. Thank you and have a blessed evening.